Welcome to Discrepancy Investigation Workshop, a science and compliance-based approach. In this module, we will focus on how investigations are expected to be conducted in a regulated pharmaceutical environment. Investigations must be scientifically sound, well-documented, and aligned with FDA regulatory expectations. The goal is to ensure product quality, protect patients, and demonstrate a state of control. This course emphasizes that discrepancy investigations are not simply paperwork exercises. They are structured evaluations that combine scientific judgment, data review, and regulatory compliance. Throughout this training, we will connect regulatory language with practical application in daily operations. My name is Sam Pandit with GMP Scientific, Inc. I bring over 40 years of experience in regulatory compliance and pharmaceutical quality assurance, with a strong focus on training, coaching, and real-world application of CGMP requirements. Throughout this training, I'll tie what you do day-to-day to what FDA expects to see in records, investigations, and quality oversight. Here is the overall structure of the course. Module 1 focuses on regulations and regulatory expectations. Module 2 covers the investigation workflow. Modules 3, 4, and 5 walk through the initial, middle, and final phases of an investigation. Together, these modules provide a complete end-to-end understanding of discrepancy investigations. In Module 1, we will start by answering the question, why investigate? We will then review key regulatory requirements, including applicable CFR sections, FDA guidance, and the Barr decision. We will translate these requirements into practical applications and conclude with examples of FDA citations and key takeaways. Before diving into regulations, it is important to understand the fundamental purpose of investigations. Investigations exist to identify what went wrong, why it happened, and how to prevent recurrence. They are a core element of an effective pharmaceutical quality system. There are three primary reasons to investigate discrepancies. First, it is a legal requirement under FDA regulations. Second, investigations directly protect patient safety by identifying and correcting quality issues. Third, they protect the business by reducing regulatory risk, preventing repeat failures, and supporting defensible batch disposition decisions. We are now transitioning into the regulatory portion of the module. This includes the Code of Federal Regulations, FDA guidance documents, and the Barr decision. Together, these define what FDA expects when a discrepancy or failure occurs. This section focuses on the regulatory foundation for investigations. We will review 21 CFR Parts 210 and 211, FDA guidance on laboratory out-of-specification results, and the Barr decision. We will also identify common themes that appear across regulations, guidance, and enforcement actions. 3 CFR sections are central to investigations. Section 211.192 addresses investigations of unexplained discrepancies and batch failures. Section 211.198 connects complaint handling to investigation requirements. Section 211.22 defines the authority and responsibility of the Quality Control Unit, including oversight of investigations. Several other CFR sections frequently support investigations. These include packaging and labeling controls, reserve samples, records and reports, master production and control records, and laboratory records. Each of these areas can generate discrepancies that require investigation or provide data needed to support investigation conclusions. Let's go into details for each of these. Section 211.192 is the cornerstone of investigation requirements. It requires quality control review of production and control records before batch release. Any unexplained discrepancy or failure to meet specifications must be thoroughly investigated, regardless of whether the batch has been distributed. Investigations must extend to other potentially affected batches, and written records must include conclusions and follow-up. Section 211.22 establishes the Quality Control Unit as an independent authority. The QCU must approve or reject materials and products and review production records to ensure errors are identified and fully investigated. Packaging and labeling controls are critical because labeling errors can have serious consequences. This regulation requires strict control of labeling issuance and reconciliation. When discrepancies occur outside preset limits, they must be investigated in accordance with Section 211.192. Section 211.180 establishes requirements for record retention and annual quality reviews. These reviews must include complaints, recalls, returned products, and investigations conducted under Section 211.192. Investigations therefore feed into broader product quality evaluations and continuous improvement. Master and batch production records define how a product should be manufactured. Any deviation from these records, including yield discrepancies or procedural errors, may require investigation to determine impact on product quality and compliance. Complaints that suggest a product may not meet specifications must be reviewed by the Quality Control Unit. A determination must be made whether an investigation is required under Section 211.192. Complaint records must document investigation findings or the justification for not investigating. Reserve samples are retained to support ongoing evaluation of product quality. If reserve samples show evidence of deterioration, the regulation requires that this deterioration be investigated under Section 211.192, linking stability observations directly to the investigation system. Laboratory records must contain complete and accurate data, including raw data, calculations, methods, results, and independent review. Investigations rely heavily on laboratory records, and weak documentation undermines the ability to reach scientifically sound conclusions. For licensed biological products, Section 600.14 requires reporting of certain deviations that may affect safety, purity, or potency. These reporting requirements are closely tied to investigation outcomes and emphasize timely, accurate evaluation of deviations. At this point, we have reviewed the regulatory framework. Next, we will connect these requirements to FDA guidance and the Barr decision, which further clarify expectations for investigations and handling of out-of-specification results. FDA guidance documents explain the agency's current thinking when regulations do not provide detailed instructions. Court decisions, such as the Barr decision, have also influenced how investigations are expected to be conducted, particularly for laboratory failures. FDA guidance documents are non-binding but highly influential. The OOS guidance provides FDA's expectations for investigating laboratory results that fall outside specifications and emphasizes disciplined, science-based decision-making. The OOS guidance defines responsibilities, outlines investigation phases, addresses retesting and resampling, and clearly discourages testing into compliance. It also explains when investigations must extend beyond the laboratory into manufacturing and other systems. We now turn our focus specifically to the Barr decision and how it reinforced expectations for investigation rigor, documentation, and the prohibition of inappropriate retesting practices. The Barr decision is a landmark court case that shaped industry understanding of OOS investigations. It reinforced that failures must be investigated before relying on retesting and highlighted deficiencies in quality systems and statistical understanding. This slide brings everything we've discussed together into a practical checklist you can use to judge whether an investigation is truly effective and defensible. First, thoroughness. A good investigation answers the question, what really happened? It's based on facts, data, and evidence, not assumptions or convenience. Second, scope. If there's potential impact beyond a single event, the investigation must be extended. FDA frequently cites firms for investigations that stop too narrowly. Third, risk. Risk is critical. Every investigation must assess risk to the patient, to product quality, and to the quality system. This risk assessment drives depth, urgency, and decisions. Fourth, root cause. Root cause means identifying the true underlying system or process failure, not symptoms and not people. If the cause isn't removed, the problem will return. Fifth, logic and rationale. Logic matters. Conclusions must clearly follow from the data. A strong investigation is rational, data-driven, and scientifically sound. Sixth, corrective and preventive actions. These must fix the root cause and prevent recurrence. Generic actions like retraining alone are rarely sufficient unless they directly address the root cause. Seventh, documentation. Records must be complete, consistent, and approved by the Quality Control Unit. If it's not documented, FDA considers it not done. Finally, timeliness. Investigations are generally expected to be completed within 30 days, with any extensions justified based on risk. When all of these elements are present, you have an investigation that protects patients, supports batch decisions, and stands up to FDA scrutiny. In practice, always follow approved procedures, apply CGMP principles correctly, consult guidance when necessary, report noncompliance to management, and involve the Quality Control Unit early. Strong investigations are a team responsibility. We've just discussed how investigations should be handled in practice, following procedures, applying CGMP correctly, using scientific judgment, and involving the quality unit. Now we'll take a look at how FDA evaluates those same activities during inspections. This next section highlights real enforcement themes and common FDA citations. The purpose is not to focus on mistakes, but to understand how gaps in investigations are viewed by regulators and how strong investigation practices help prevent these findings. FDA frequently cites firms for failing to extend investigations to other batches and for inadequate root cause analysis. Closing investigations as human error without evidence or systemic fixes is a common enforcement finding. Additional common citations include incomplete investigation records, failure of the quality unit to exercise oversight, inadequate microbial or sterility investigations, and weak stability or dissolution investigations. These trends reinforce the expectations discussed earlier. In this module, we reviewed the purpose of discrepancy investigations, the regulatory framework, FDA guidance, the Barr decision, and common enforcement themes. These elements together define what FDA expects to see when discrepancies occur. In Module 2, we will dive deeper into the investigation workflow, explore each phase in detail, and apply these principles through practical examples and exercises. But in the meantime, be sure to review the full text of these regulations and the OOS guidance documents, then complete the quiz and review additional materials as assigned. Thank you for participating in Module 1. If you have questions or would like additional training or support, please use the contact information provided. Your commitment to quality and compliance is essential to protecting patients and maintaining regulatory trust.